Do you ever feel that your tracks just don't hit right? Well, here's the truth. Mastering isn't about fancy plugins or expensive gear. It's about knowing the right steps. And in today's free master class, I'm going to show you everything you need to know from A to Z in order to get your track properly mixed. Most people think great mixes come from very expensive plugins or the most sophisticated studio, but that's far from the truth. The real secret is actually understanding what your track actually needs. And I'll teach you how to get there step by step. And by the way, this is an official class taken from the advanced and beginner program. So my apologies for the old logo. I couldn't remove it. It was integrated in the recording. But anyway, let's go straight into it. Let's go. Alright, well, first off, let's start with putting it to a Avix track, number 5. Right, I already put a span into it because I want to see what we're at. And what I'm really curious about is the mid-intro part and the climax part, because those are the most important parts of a track in regards to amplitude. So how does it look like in regards to peaks? Is there too many peaks? Do we have to compress it down a little bit? Let's see what up. Looking at the waveform, it looks really good. I'm really impressed. The mid intro is very solid, no crazy peaks. This is probably the break, and this is, if this is the climax, then that is really solid. I do see some really weird peaks here, so we'll look into that. But overall, this looks really impressive. And the first question you might ask, why a -6 dB? Well, good question. Let's say if it was a 0.0 dB, right? That's what you usually want. This block. There's no way you can see if there's any crazy peaks or sounds are off. There's no way to analyze things. That's a first. Second of all, there's no room for audio treatment. There's no room for compression. There's no room for boosting stuff. Sure, there's room for limiting stuff, but it just doesn't add up. That's why you always have to deliver a -6 dB pre-master. And like I said in the project before, we did it in the project itself, but now we're gonna build our own mastering template, if you will. Okay, so let's dive into span. Span is an analyzer. Used it before. Let's see where we're at, Tommy. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I put it already on BPM. It's 155. This looks good. A little bit more high end over here. Gonna do that with multi-band compression. Same here. Okay, I heard enough. That is very good, Tommy. Very solid, no crazy peaks. Good job. I'm so impressed with how much he improved, though, his leads and everything. Very good. Shattered. Okay, so now I'm going to listen to the climax, because that's obviously where the most of the amplitude happens, because you have the kick collide with the lead sound. So that's the most amplitude. Looking at it, it looks really good. It can be a little bit louder than the mid intro. It's obvious because there's more sounds playing, so therefore it's okay. This part is a little bit louder. Let's see what's happening. Okay, I would add a little bit more transient to this. And normally I would say, hey, Tommy, I think you should fix that in your mix itself, because I can't change it right now. But he's asleep, so I will do it manually later. And then these weird peaks here, we're gonna look into that. Dreams. You can't really hear what's happening here. It might be just as simple as a bass sound, in this case the kick bass, a little bit higher in volume, or, and I think I know what it is, it's the generic bleeding. Let's say you have the kick. Let's say you have the kick and he probably has this, and for some reason, if you do it like this, this is technically already messing up your whole mix. And that is what you get here. So make sure there's always a little bit of gap in between your kicks. The more you know. Okay, so that's probably what's happening here. A little bit overlap, which is fine. It's not gonna break the mix. All right, first step. We did the analyzing part. Now I'm gonna get rid of some frequencies that we don't need. I don't know if he did like a stereo cut. I usually start with the stereo cut. Why do I do that? Because you don't need frequencies under a certain hertz. You don't need the lower frequencies in stereo. So in FabFilter, that is a shape, low cut, right click, stereo placement. Usually it's stereo. And I see the confusion here, but what you want to look for is the actual stereo, which is the sides. Let's listen to it. This is all the rumble you're getting rid of right now. Barely anything. So I would say 200 hertz is fine. All right. And let's do a little bit of a sub dip that separates the tail from the punch. Thank you. I don't know if he did that. I couldn't see it in the span filter, so let's see if that makes any improvement. Again, I'm on headphones. Usually I master on my Atom speakers, and I will do that after this lesson. This is pure for demonstration purposes. Usually gets rid of a little bit of a rumble. Let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm a little bit of the 300 hertz. Makes it a little bit cleaner, a little less rumbly. I don't know. Okay. Moving on to the multiband compression. Like I said, the highs could use a little bit more of an EQ boost. You can do that with EQing itself, but I like the multiband compression more because you're not boosting so much. You're upward compressing, and that is a difference. Well, let's put the span on the end because you want to see how the end result looks like. It's literally that end that needs a little bit more. Better. Oh, I forgot something. Always before my stereo cut, I think I can make two, right? 2 in 1. I usually don't do that, but yeah, I can. Okay. So what you want to do is get rid of lower frequencies that do play in the track, but that cannot be played by any audio system at all. And that is anything under, this is arguably, safe spot will be under 20 hertz. There's no sound system in the world that can play that. And it's only going to cause rumble in your final mix. Make sure to do that with a linear phase when you do a low cut on the sub. You're not going to hear the difference right now, but trust me. Well, maybe you can, I don't know. Definitely not. All right, this looks really good so far. I'm moving back to the multiband compression. And you, honestly, if you don't know what you're doing, that's fine. A good mix doesn't need much. A good mix doesn't need much corrections, many corrections. So you can play around a little bit. Maybe you like something. By the way, it's all a matter of taste, right? Because I might like a clear mix, but the client maybe likes a little bit more boomy. So if you like a clear mix, then usually you're going to compress a little bit more in the higher ends. If you're a little bit boomy, more a little bit in the lower ends. But let's see. Let's see if we can bring this track to a better level with some multi-band compression. This is the kick range. Solo. I like this a little bit more. The presence of the kick. We're going to dive into low end compression in a bit, because the low end is going to be the last. All right, next up, we're going to do some stereo imaging, as it is called. Make sure that this track sounds wide, and see where the frequencies can use a little bit of boost or cut. Now, it is kind of tricky to do with headphones, so bear with me. I'm not on my studio monitors right now, but I'll do my best. And we have this FEP filter right here. I'm going to use that one. And all right. So let's go to the, remember that we did a stereo cut here. Now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to see where we can add a little bit more of stereo to bring out the leads or the kicks or whatever. Let's see what we can do here. And this is only the sides, so the actual stereo. If you want a little bit more clarity, I would suggest boost the high ends a little bit. You can hear the reverb going a little bit more stereo. I like it. Again, the anything under 200 hertz or anything in the lower end region, I think you should stay away from. Let's listen what it does, just for references. Yeah, that's not a frequency you want to. If anything, if you cut it a little bit of a stereo cut, it sounds, the kick makes more room for the lead. Yep, sounds good. Oh, one thing I forgot though is to add another FEP filter. Honestly, you can do it in the stereo cut, but add another FEP filter and do a brick wall on the high frequencies, because the human ear can only hear, depending on your age. I'm like 65, so I can only hear until like, let's hear it. I can barely hear this. Yeah, I can't hear this anymore. I think the brick wall you can place around 18K. No one hears this. And those are frequencies you don't need. Brick wall, high end. All right. All right, now it's time to push the track, and you can do that with, I think the best way to do it is a limiter. So we can use the FL limiter because we worked on it. You can use Pro L2 too, whatever you want, whatever works for you. Let's just start with the L2. Okay, let's play around with it. Basically how a limiter works is you set a threshold like we did with the green lines in FL limiter. But in this case, there's no ceiling, there's just a gain boost. All right, so how this works is a little bit different than FL limiter. We're over here you see the output, and over here you see the amount of clipping that it does. A little bit of clipping is not bad. A little bit too much clipping it's going to make your track sound distorted, and that's what you don't want. So now there's an easy way to do this with FabFilter L2 is listening by this headphone, and then you can hear the amount of clipping that it's adding to. So over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different, I wouldn't say presets, methods, the way of processing for this limiter. And I found out that the most useful one is the aggressive one. I know I said I haven't used this plugin before, but I did some work around with it. I played around with it so I can instruct you guys better. The best one I've used is the aggressive limiter. And yeah, like I said, you can hear the amount of clipping. So what you want to do is balance it where it starts clipping, and then you want to see how much lifts you have, and you do that with the Ulean loudness meter, and if it's enough lufts, then you're pretty much set for the upwards compression, so the loudness of the track. Let's listen and let's see. I'm gonna put the loudness meter next to it so we have both in the same view. So remember guys, around between -2.5 is really effing loud, and -4 I would say, sweet spot. So let's see where we can push, and let's see what we can do. All right, so looking back at the distortion, this is what it's going to add. You click here, you click on this one. That's not bad. You can change up the attack and release if you want, but I don't think with Hardstyle it's going to make much of a difference in this case. We can listen to it. I'm trying to visually see what they're changing. So I would put the compressor for a fast attack and a short release, because most of the compression the limiting is being done because the kick is peaking too hard. So that means you need a fast compression. That means fast attack, fast release. Something like that is nice. Okay, let's boost it up. Let's see what we can do with that. You can turn the true peak limiting off if you want like the hard clipping. So if you like a little bit of rougher edge, a little bit of distortion, then let's see what we can do with that. Let's listen to the difference if we can hear it. This is less distortion. I would prefer that. Now you can really hear the limiting doing its job. See, there was a high peak over here. And now you can actually hear way better what the limiting does by soloing actually the clipping, the distortion, what it's adding. Way better to work with. Okay, let's hear it. I hear some problems. All right, so we cannot push it any louder because it will compress too much. Okay, so what we'll do is sacrifice a little bit of low end in that regard. All right, so I already did a little bit of low cut, but I think we need a little bit more. Right, you can really hear that difference in the release and the reverb from the track coming up faster. That's a big difference. I think I found my sweet spot. Really nice. And the output. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, that's pretty nice. Do you hear that? It's too much over here. Something's going on over here. There it is. And that's probably that peak. Yep, told you. So that is one thing he has to fix in order to give me the... In order for me to fix this track properly, he needs to fix that part. I can't change that. And that's why it's really important. This is a great example. I'm happy that it happens. This is a great example why you want your peaks flat. You don't want these crazy peaks, because now the only way I can solve this is by lowering the volume, and you don't want a lower output in volume for this mastering. So I'm happy that this is the case. This is a very good test case. Thank you, Tommy. So whenever you send it back, I will finish this up. But for now, let's move on to the final part, and that is... Sorry for interrupting, but since you're still watching, I would highly appreciate if you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell, because moving forward, I'll be uploading a video every Thursday. Some few tricks. You're gonna make an automation clip. Let's see if we can do that on this one. Can we automate this bad boy? Tools, last week to create automation clip. Yeah, that looks like it working. But that's kind of tricky though, because you never know what the fit. How much is this? 48%. Yeah, I wish it was 50. No, okay, let's just do it with a, let's see if we can do that with a wave shaper at the end. No, that's not necessary. Let's try it on this one. Oh, I see now that I put everything on the FX chain instead of the master. Well, it doesn't matter that much. It's the same stuff. In this case, I'm going to automate this. So what you want to do, this is a typical trick. I don't know if I explained it, but a typical trick before the drop, you want a volume dip. And then when the kick hits, go back to 80%. That is the standard, 80%. Look at your top left, 80% is the standard for a volume. Usually it's eight bars, so 1 or 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I usually do a 10%, 15%. Let's do 15% dip. Shattered. Where's the first kick? Why is that not perfectly on the line? Everything is on the line here, Tommy. Why is that kick not on the first hit, or is it? It is. I am just off. Why is this not synced? Right, so there's that. And we do a stereo mono trick. What it is, I'm pretty sure I explained it to you guys. It's this. Yeah, 100%, because I made the same hand movement. Oh, is this camera gonna follow me now? Stop, don't do that. Wide to small. I don't trust my camera. It's AI. Every time I move, it follows me. Okay, so there's that. I got distracted as usual. Mono. All right, there it is. Make an automation clip. Okay, and then. So back to 50. Whatever you do, go back to 50 at the drop. So something like this, maybe. Sure. Shattered. They seek to break us. They think us mutant, but they do not understand. Shattered dreams. really happy with the outcome of this master so far. All right, let's look at the span.
Shattered dreams.
Why was that not? Is it not going back to 80%? Oh, 77. See, guys? Focus, focus, focus. If you're unsure, just type it in. Double click, right click. Type in value 0.8. Done. Let's see if we can crank it up to like 3.5-ish. This kick sounds a little bit overly compressed, and I'm not sure why that is. Is there more low end in it? Let's see that. No, this kick is more balanced. So that's another thing he has to, and you can see it in the waveforms too, guys. See, this is where I can't emphasize this enough. This is where it's really important to have a flat mix down with not crazy peaks. So he has to turn down, I think the bass is a little bit too loud in this kick, so he has to change that. But it's an easy fix, and he can just send me the new wave file and I'll replace it. Boom, done. Okay, and I think that is pretty much it for this master. Let's see how it sounds. Render, mastering template. Really curious what the difference is. Obviously volume output, but well, that worked really well. Why is that not? Well, that's not a mastered version. Oh, I put the L2 off. Good job. Let's try that again, shall we? And there it is. What a beauty. Nice block, nice with the volume cuts. You can see it clearly here. This looks really nice. And now the question remains: how would it sound with a profession? Now the question remains: how would it sound next to a professional track? I like to use disturb. You know, that's officially how you pronounce it. The more you know. It's not disturb, it's disturb. Okay, here we go. This is not really a good example because this track is clipping like hell. He's literally going a little bit above the threshold, what is acceptable in my opinion, but whatever, no one cares. Okay, so now listening to this, I noticed that the disturb synths are a little bit more wide. So either Tommy has to change that, or I can change the whole track with multiband, not multiband compression, imaging what we did here. So let's try and see if we can add a little bit more to the... Yeah, so I added a little bit more stereo width. So this is very important. When you're mastering or finishing your track, always take a reference track. The volume output was good. You can play this on any party. But I heard that the stereo width in Disturbed's track was a little bit more to the sides, and I like that. So either you have to redo it in your mix, or I can do a little bit with the mastering in the overall mix. You know, it's better to do it with your leads itself than me doing the whole track more stereo. Does it make sense? I think it does. Okay, final thing that I have to add is, and you guys probably don't have that plugin right now, but it's an compressor for the low end. Gives a little bit more of a, no, not this one. Where is it? Where is it? Is it? Yeah, it's the PuigTeq compressor. Usually what I do is just boost this up a little bit, put this on 60 hertz, and then see if it doesn't clip all the way, because we already did a lot. It has to be before the limiting though. So all right, so in this case, it didn't affect the limiter. The limiter was okay. Yeah, you can have a little bit more low end, and that's fine. So that's nice. We added some low end to it, and I think this comes down to the final step. This was the final step. I'm really satisfied with this master. I hope he is too. Clients, in this case, Tommy, can, you know, request certain things. I want more low end. I want more clarity. I want the loudest output. So you can always, if you want me to master your stuff, I can always be like, okay, it's going to be very loud, but there's going to be less low end. You want to boo me? Okay, then it's going to be less loud. So that's the thing with mastering. And that being said, I think that's enough for today. I hope you learned something. We're going to talk about more about the limiter itself from... I want to do like a whole FabFilter course at some point, but it's not really that big of a deal. I think I showed you the most fundamental stuff, the most important stuff of the limiter. If there's a lot of questions about it, I'll make sure to do more of that. But I think for now, this was a pretty much a deeper dive into mastering. So I hope you learned something. The master turned out great on my headphones, but I'm going to finish it on the speakers, which is highly recommended. See you in the next one.